You know the one. For millions of us, it all kicked off with this exact sound. That Supercell jingle, it was like a promise that an incredible duel was about to start. It was our call to arms, the signal that it was time to jump into the arena.
But what happens when that promise starts to feel different? Today, we're going to get into the story of a game that so many of us loved and how it's changed, maybe not for the better. So let's talk about it. This is The Fall of the King, the tragedy of Clash Royale. All right, let's jump in the time machine and head back to 2016. 2016. It was a time that a lot of players now call the golden age. It's when the game was at its absolute purest.
Back then, people called it animated chess. And honestly, that was the perfect description. Dropping a giant behind your king tower wasn't just some random play. It was your opening move, your first chess piece on the board. Every single card you placed was a strategic decision.
And the whole vibe was just so clean. The arena was this simple, green battlefield. Your screen wasn't cluttered, it was just you, your opponent, and your brains. And if you lost, you knew you just got outplayed. That feeling of fair competition was pure adrenaline. Your wallet, it had absolutely nothing to do with it.
But you know how it goes. That kind of perfect balance is really hard to maintain. Slowly but surely, things started to shift, kicking off what a lot of people see as the beginning of the end.
And it all started pretty subtly. A little bit of glitter showed up in the form of legendary cards. And at first, who wasn't hyped for an ice wizard or the princess? It was a cool, new, exciting layer to the game.
But this was the first step in a much larger trend. The focus started to move away from pure balance and more towards raw power. First, card levels crept up to 13. Then came the dreaded level 14. After that, we got these evolved cards, which are basically super-powered versions of troops we already had. With every new addition, the game we knew started to crack a little more.
And you could feel it in the community. With all these creeping changes, this sense of dread started to bubble up among the longtime players. The game May had spent years mastering was turning into something else entirely. But a lot of us held on, just hoping that old magic was still in there somewhere.
And that brings us right up to today. We're going to fast forward from that nostalgic past and jump straight into what our source material calls the nightmare of 2025.
Seriously, you step into the arena today and the difference is just staggering. It makes you ask a really fundamental question. After everything that's changed, is this even the same game we all fell in love with?
Just look at the arena itself. That clean, green battlefield from 2016, yeah, that's gone. Now your screen is just buried under this constant barrage of purple and gold lights with purple elixirs spilling all over the place. The simple beauty is just lost.
And the strategy? Oh boy, it's been totally rewritten. What used to be a game of calculated, precise placement now feels, a lot more chaotic. It's less like chess and more like a race to see who can spam their hero ability button the fastest. The battlefield is just dominated by these evolved cards with their glowing purple eyes, launching attacks that can literally wipe out half the map in one go. The screen gets so cluttered with all the effects that sometimes you can't even see your own troops in the mess.
But look, all that visual chaos is one thing. The really tragic part of this whole story, at least according to our sources, is how the game's entire philosophy changed. This is the story of the king who was sold. Remember the old shop? It was a place where you could spend the golden gems you actually earned just by playing the game. Now it feels less like a player's treasury and more like some high-end luxury boutique. You've got the Diamond Pass, $100 offers, and new champions that are basically locked behind a paywall.
And this just creates this really frustrating loop. So picture this, you see a new, super powerful card. You realize you can't get it without spending real money. And then you spend the next week getting absolutely crushed by people who did buy it. All of a sudden, your skill and your timing just aren't enough anymore. What's really telling is how the whole culture of the game changed. You know that Laughing King emote? It used to be a sign of a good, fun match, but it slowly became a symbol of something totally different, a taunt from players who had a clear advantage because they spent more money.
For all those veteran players who remembered that golden age, this wasn't just a new feature or an update. It felt like a betrayal. And for many, it led to what we're calling a final goodbye.
This emote, the Laughing King, this used to be the face of a confident duel that was all about skill. It was the symbol of a fair fight, a friendly, good game.
And this is what the players became. The Crying King emote isn't just for when you make a bad play anymore.
It's kind of become the collective feeling of a whole community that just misses the fair, simple game that they fell in love with.
And that brings us to the final verdict. Look, the game today isn't necessarily a bad game, but it's not really Clash Royale. As one source put it so perfectly, it's become a flashy circus that sold its soul for dollars. So that leaves us all with one last, kind of sad question. For anyone who remembers the animated chess, the thrill of a totally fair fight, is it maybe just time to finally say goodbye? To just hit that uninstall button and keep those perfect memories of 2016 safe? What do you think?